move things around just a little bit here. A couple final things. And it looks like it's loading. Twitch should be up and running here in about 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and hit the go live button on Facebook now. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, looks like Facebook should be up and running. If you are watching a recording, do fast forward a couple minutes. We are always starting a little early just to make sure that our technology is up and running. Sounds like Facebook is okay, according to Andy. Andy's here with me, of course, as always. Oh, okay. Interesting. So if you're not getting notifications, maybe you have to turn on notifications? I don't know. Okay. So again, if you're just watching on a recording, do fast forward another minute. We're going to start in about a minute. I know it's just about one here. Well, it's just about one everywhere on the East Coast, not just here. Hello, Robin and Laura. There's Cheryl and Patty there too. Look at that. So if you're watching on Facebook, do say hi to us there, and also on Twitch. Do not be a silent watcher. All right, baby doll, are we ready? Okay. Okay, so I've got Andy on the line with me in my ear telling me what everybody's saying on Facebook and on Twitch, and he will be responding to everybody. If you're here for the first time, I know that's sort of weird, but it is what it is because I'll be busy working down here. Anyway, so today is Wednesday. It is August. And you know what? If you're new here, welcome. If you've been watching all 60, I counted this morning. I think we are at 63 videos. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. So, if you've been here 63 times, yes. And we're still going. We're going to hit 100. Yep. I decided we're going to hit 100, but we're just about around the corner from reaching 50 projects. So that's pretty exciting. Still thinking about what that 50th project's going to be because did you see the metals market today? Oh my gosh. Honey, what's gold? I didn't look up gold, but silver today went past $27 an ounce. And if you were paying attention, a week ago it was at 23. I think last Monday it was at 23, and the week before we were at about 17. So we've gone up $10 an ounce, which wow, gold and Andy's telling me is at $2,031. I think that is a historical high. Pretty darn sure that it's never really quite gone over 2000. Um, oh, what's 2056, babe? Oh, the high was 2056. So we're getting really close to the historical high. So yeah, what's okay, so to give you a perspective, when I started doing this, I think we've decided it's about 15 years ago. So when I started doing this about 15 years ago, gold was about, I want to say $400, and silver is riding at about $5 an ounce. So things are very different. Looks like we're heading back into copper, but hey, we've been working with copper for the last 4 months and silver. But there was a lot of copper because we were trying to keep the budget really low. Anyway, okay, so that's the crazy what's in the news right now, other than the beautiful weather outside. I actually have the door open, so hopefully there's not going to be a lawnmower outside today. But yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. Anyway, so it is Wednesday. Today is supposed to be, or usually is step by step surprise, but it's not a surprise. We're just doing a project today called Open Sesame. That's what this is. It is a touchless door opener. I just thought it was appropriate for the times, and we could all use one of these right now, just trying to keep ourselves safe from COVID. But so If you ordered a kit, you should have gotten this really weird um, rubber piece, and that is for a stylus part, okay? And then you should have gotten a length of brass wire. This is 8 gauge brass wire. And anyway, so it's pretty heavy. We're going to do a lot of annealing and whatnot. And let's jump into what you need for your tools. Heavy duty cutters are great, but they're going to break or you're going to break your hand doing it. So we're going to use a saw today. A leather mallet will be useful. Some sort of a mandrel, whether it is a ring mandrel or a hoop mandrel, works very well. A chasing hammer, some sort of a metal file. Of course, we're going to need some saw blades to go with the saw. Cut lube is helpful, although some people argue that you don't need it. A bench block is a definite need today, and I sort of threw this in there. The nylon nose pliers might be helpful. You don't have to have it, but it might be a little helpful today. And of course, a ruler. Okay, so that said, let me put all this stuff aside and we're going to jump in. Because this metal is so heavy, you do want to go ahead and anneal it because you won't be able to bend it. It's just really hard. Another thing too is don't consider using, if you're not using brass, don't use silver and don't use copper because it's too soft. We are trying to open a door with these things, and how you use it is just put in your finger and you're going to pull on that door latch, and that's how you use it. Of course, you can't use it on a knob, duh, but it is what it is. And anyway, so you do want to make sure that you're using brass. And brass is a bit of a harder metal. That's why we want to anneal it despite how soft it may or may not be when it arrives. Just go ahead and anneal it. And we probably will anneal it a couple times today as we work through the process, okay? So clearing off my workbench here so we can get started. So also, most of you have not annealed something this heavy, and so just be real careful that you make sure that you quench the entire piece, okay? Or have, I know most of you have never even worked with a piece this heavy. It's hot. It's going to get hot. It's going to stay hot. Just hearing it quench, the sizzle that we all love is not enough. You have to leave it in the water for an extra few moments, okay? So I'm just going to take this and turn on my torch and we're going to anneal it. And we want a nice hard anneal, okay? Which means we're going to heat this for a pretty long time. You'll start seeing color changes. So a couple people reached out to me telling me that they don't have power. So if you're watching this on a recording, obviously you got power left. Hopefully you weren't without power for too long. But sounds like New Jersey is having some issues out there. Haven't looked at a weather map, but maybe you guys have some weather. Okay. So this nice big torch is great for annealing because it does the job fairly quickly. I'm just going to stay right here. And what are you looking for? You're looking for color changes. You see that on my right? You see it starting to change, which is good. It'll make life a lot easier. And you might want to get a quench bowl that's a little bit bigger than the standard little quench bowl that you have there. I'm just going to dip it a couple times. Okay. Andy, did you say that Newark has trees down everywhere? New York has trees down everywhere. Wow. Wow. So we heard that some places in New York have been without power for 4 days. Okay, so you see how there was a nice color change there? Okay, make sure you quench that really well. Even like I'll quench one side and the other side's still hot. So I'm quenching back and forth. So the reason why the question is, why am I holding it instead of putting it on the board? Because this piece is so big, I didn't want any heat sink and I wanted to make sure that I got everything nice and hot. Okay, and annealed, that's all. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to put this right into my my forming wedge and my bench block. So how big of a ring do you want? Well, it depends. You know, I like it to fit my middle finger if you want it a little bit bigger. So it's at least a size 12, if not bigger. You can make it whatever size you want. Okay. You should have enough wire for all of that. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to hit right down on it, just like so. Okay. And it'll start forming around the mandrel. And notice how I'm just moving it over each time. Oops. Until it comes around. There you go. Okay. A little more. Alright. So now that it's around, I'm going to bring it down and move it over. Just like that. Okay. You want to come around your mandrel. And here. So notice how I'm just adjusting it as I go, as needed, okay? And this one I'm good. So do you see where I'm at? I'm going to move it back the other way. It's fighting me today. And you see all that hitting has made this really hard already, but I'll just move it to the side and bring it around. Right down to the size I want. There we go. Good wax, not little wax. You see how hard I'm hitting that? You keep adjusting as needed. There we go. And now what I'm doing is I'm bringing this closer in because we're going to need to make that connection. It's still slightly off, you can see that. And it's gotten so hard, I'm going to needle it again. You might need to do this several times through your process, okay? So heat, heat, heat. And I'm just heating this end right now because I know the rest is already annealed. I've only been hitting on this end, so I'm not going to bother annealing the rest of it. I just need this end to bend. So you can see all the color changes that I'm going through. Okay. So remember, just because you heat at that one end doesn't mean that the other end's not hot. So make sure that you anneal both ends. Or sorry, that you quench both ends. Okay. Okay, bring it down. There we go. And I'm still at about size 11, so I'm just going to keep moving it down until I get to my size. Like, okay. There we are. Definitely size 12. Good. Okay. So now you want to straighten this out a little bit. Pull out your bench block. Make that nice and straight. And so what we're making is we're making a D shape, okay? Or a P shape, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so on this end, let's make a small little curve. There's two designs here, okay? I'm changing it up a little bit. So the original design looks like so. I'll help you out here. So original design looks like so. Where we are soldering here on this joint on this original design, but I decided to change it up because I decided that it would be much stronger if we go ahead and make the design like so. And you can either add your stylus on this end, and you need it to be at least 3/4 inches, or you can do a little 1/2 inch off the bottom here. So then you can use this as a stylus on this end. It's sort of up to you, it doesn't matter, but we're going to, so if you want to make this stylus here, we'll make a little curve and we'll solder it on. If not, you're just going to reserve about 3/4 inch piece and we'll solder that on after. Okay? So I'm going to make a little curve on this end, cut it off, and we'll reserve that. How do I do that? And the reason why I'm doing that now is because making that tiny little curve, trust me, it's a little bit easier when you have a whole big piece like so. Okay, so to make that curve, I am simply going to put this right on the mallet, and I'm just going to hit it over to make the curve. And then we're going to saw it off anyway, okay? So it doesn't really matter. I know it's a little bit peculiar doing this, but sorry, struggling today. Totally struggling today. By the way, Wine on Wednesdays tonight. If you all want to join us, I posted the link on the Q Talk Facebook page. Another thing too is all of the the tools that I'm using today is available on our website, and all of the links are available on the Q Talk page. Okay, so now that I got that curve started, I'm just going to take out my nylon nose pliers and give it a bend because I couldn't do it on the mandrel. I was able to do it on the mandrel earlier. I can't do it now, so I don't know why. I'm just, like I said, sort of struggling today. Okay, so it's gotten a bit hard on me. I'm going to anneal this again so I can make that bend a little bit better. This process is a bit fluid with the whole annealing thing. So, you know, we anneal as we need to, and sometimes we need to more than others. It depends on what your day is looking like and how much struggling you're having. Oi! Okay. Heat it. There we go. I'm always checking to make sure that it didn't get hot on the other end before I grab it because, you know, ugh. We've already learned that lesson. I'm sure many of you have. Picking up something before it was completely quenched. So here, I'm just going to make that bend. Okay, great. So now we're just going to saw off about 1/2 inch of it and reserve that. All right. And we're going to also now saw this end to make it meet, to create a miter that will meet the other side. So give me a second. I'm going to set up my bench pin and we'll switch cameras. All right, here we go. Okie dokie. Oops. Something happened there. Sorry. It looks like my camera is frozen. Okay, something happened to my camera. So give me a second. I apologize. Don't know what happened here. I'm going to have to add a new camera. Yeah, wrong camera, honey. I know you guys can see this one, but I need to get to the other camera to show everyone how to. Um, oh, wow, my camera died. My secondary camera died, or my third camera, because that's a camera and that's a camera, and there's another one. Sorry, let's give this another try. Okay. Uh, Technology. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Video. Oops. There we go. Okay. Right? Right. Okay. There we go. Camera fell over. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. But you got a good shot of my apron. Anybody need a tool or apron? It's on our website. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to lower our chair. And we're going to saw this end here. So you can see, to create a mitered angle to meet the wire in the middle. You might want to lube your wax your your jeweler's saw. Again, as I always say, it's argumentative for some people. They say you don't need it. I say my life is a lot easier with it. So I'm just going to go right in here, and I'm going to saw that angle. If you can't hold your piece, your wire, take out a clamp. You know, if your hands get tired of holding it, take out your clamp. And notice I'm making nice long strokes instead of little ones like this, making nice long strokes, which will make very quick work of it. I'm working in the middle of my bench pin because it gives me the most leverage there. Okay. There we go. Almost. Perfect. Okay, so I just sawed. I think you can see that, right? So it has a nice angle. You can see it'll meet the other wire very nicely. And then while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and saw this piece out. And it's about a 1/2 inch, okay? And let's see, how am I sawing this? This goes out this way, which means this goes this way. Okay, so we're going to be here. I'm guessing on my angle. I probably will have to file this anyway. So of course my sister has already called dibs on this one. Oops. Just drop that. Just nice long strokes until you get that across. You know, I know that those Kiba cutters will cut this, but I will also tell you that the Kiba cutters are only rated for, I think we decided it was 10 gauge or 12 gauge. So you don't want to break those. I mean, they were like 40 bucks. So let's just saw. Nice long strokes. My wire is actually getting warm from all of this friction that I'm creating, but it is a big piece of wire, so it's going to take a minute here to do. I'm sorry, Andy, I can't hear you. Hold on, wait, let me finish sawing, okay? Wow. Wow, it's taking forever to saw today, but I feel like my saw blade is officially dull. Just finish. Dull. Of course, as soon as I said that, all right, I'm just going to break that off because I broke my saw blade. I'm going to need a new one regardless. Okay. So not counting laptops and phones, how many cameras do we have? I have 2 cameras plus one that's been on back order for 2 months now. Well, we don't. I know at one point I was over 9 in that they were tested and I shipped them away, right? Because when they didn't work, I moved on. Okay, so here's my little 1/2 inch piece. Here is my mitered piece here. And then you want to move it down. If you can't, we'll go ahead and use the bench block. All right, so that's it for the sawing. I'm going to go ahead and change out the camera once again to the other one. Oops. Oh, what happened? Whoops. Wait. What happened? Oh no. Sorry. Bad mousing. All right. So we're back here. So this piece, as you can see, is completely wonky. So let's go ahead and fix that. Okay. We'll put it on the bench block and we'll flatten that out and fix that up. I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see a little bit better what's going on here. Brilliant. Okay. So here, I'm just going to flatten everything. I obviously will need to anneal this again. Okay, so see, I want to flatten this way, but notice I have an obstruction. So I'm going to hang this off of my bench pin, my bench, so that the loop is hanging off the bench. Give me a second, so that I have access to the rest of the wire. But you can see my joint is pretty close. Okay, I can't get that any closer without annealing this, so I'm going to anneal this a little bit more, so that I can get that really perfectly close. And because I've been hitting on it, it's going to be a little work hardened. Okay, so I'm going to anneal the whole entire piece because I need to bend this end too to create the hook for the door that makes it a door opener. So in the end, although I've tested 9 cameras, I now officially have 2 waiting for one better one to come in, hoping that it would focus a little bit better and maybe give you a little bit of a high def. And then the third camera I'm working on today is actually my laptop. So I don't typically like working with the laptop because it's really hard to manage on this side. So, okay. Because that was a nice long anneal, I'm going to have a nice long quench. Okay, so see, I put it around a size 12. Somebody said that this looks really big. Okay, you can definitely make this smaller, but I have it on a size 12, although my finger is, this one is a 7. So this one's going to be a little bit bigger. So it's nice to have a bit of room to work with. You don't exactly want this to fit your exact ring finger, because if you get caught, you won't be able to let go of it very easily. So you do want this to be really nice and loose. And besides, you're going to really actually work with it here, but you do want it to be really loose, okay? Okay. So here I'm going to just hit down on it to bring that end in just a little bit, just to make it really close and as tight as I can. And I probably don't need to solder it, but I will be soldering it. Okay. There we go. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so you're going to need to keep looking at your piece and seeing how it moves. But notice I was hitting this direction and it didn't do anything. So I turned it and I hit it from here. So that made it just perfect. So I'm going to move it down because you see it's slightly off and I want it to be really nice and even. And I'm making some really big hits, just so you know, because this is a heavy, heavy piece of metal. Okay. And it moved down just a little bit. If I want that to be perfect, I'm going to need to anneal this again. There we go. Close. So close. And also notice I'm flipping it back and forth and adjusting as needed to get this there. Okay, I'm so close. Okay, that just moved for me. Brilliant. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and make the hook on top. Okay, couple approaches here. This is approximately 3 inches. The length here is approximately 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to go at about So I know that my curve is going to be here. I'll mark it and show you. The top of the curve, okay, from the bottom is 3 inches. So that's going to be the top of my curve. Can you make this longer? Sure. But do you want to? I'm not so sure. You definitely don't want to go under 2.5 inches because again, you might get caught in that door. So you want to head to about 3 inches. It seems to be the right length for it. Okay. Take out my mandrel again and my wedge. And I'm just going to put the mark right at about that 12 size 12, and I'm going to hit down on it. It'll bring it nice, the curve nicely around, and I want it to be on the same plane as my loop. So I don't want to hold it this way and have the curve going to a 45. I want it on the same side, okay? Because it needs to look like this. Okay. Okay, there we are. Okay, I can hold it there. See how I'm holding that? Nice and tight. Bring that around. I'm actually going to make a bit of a bigger curve on this. So I started at that 12, I'm down at a 13, and I'm bringing it around. You see? There it is. So there's the 3 inches where I marked. So we'll bring this around a little bit more. And actually I want a bigger curve on this one. So I'm going to bring this around. Oops, what am I doing? There we go. And then you'll just trim off the rest of it, okay? Let's see. Where am I? Yep. So there it is. I'm at 3 inches. So then I'm going to go ahead and saw this side off. And you don't want to have it in too much of a curve because again, as much as it's a hook, it's not, okay? It's not a traditional hook because you don't want to get caught in that door. So you want it to be a shallow hook, okay? So that it releases easily. All right. So, oops, I do have to go back to sawing. I forgot. All right. Bench pin back on. And I need to get a saw blade because I broke the last one. Okay. Saw blade. Okay. Put all my pieces aside, grab my saw, and switch out cameras again. Whoops. Oh. Let's see. Let's see if it works this time. Oh, yay. It worked. Okay, saw blade in to the saw. So when you're putting it in, you want to make sure that your saw blade is facing up towards you and not the throat of the saw. You can adjust this. Here you can't adjust that throat to the length of the saw blade. Open this puppy up, make sure there's no debris in there because if there's some sort of saw debris, it will not tighten and it will break on you. As I think you saw in video number 8 or something, we had a major sawing issue. Okay, tighten that. Okay, so the saw blade should be facing down like this. Oops, I think you can see that, right? It should be facing down like this, like a Christmas tree. We're going to wax it a little bit and saw. I'm going to go right about there. Takes a minute. Start there, churn my saw up and down like so. Nice long strokes. I'm going to adjust my hand position. Nope, don't like that. Okay. Okay, nice long strokes. Amazing how a fresh saw blade works so much easier, right? Yes, I like to use my saw blades till they're worn. It's a thing. Okay, remember never to force your saw blade. If you're forcing it, it'll break. It's not going to work for you properly. There we are. Set that aside. So you can see, go ahead and file that end nicely. Take off any burrs and any sharpness can be removed. And I like, again, I always go at a slight angle like so on the edge, as you can see, like that. Okay, just because it's nice, and it really does a nice job of removing anything that is sharp. Okay, there we go. Yep, feels great. So that's your basic shape. We're going to flatten this out. We'll solder this and we'll solder the hook, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, back to the camera, business. There we go. Okay. Oops. I'm sorry, honey. Okay. So hold on. Let's go ahead and swing back. So we want to anneal that. Okay. Blurry and stuck on Twitch means it's a Twitch problem today. Okay. Oh, we're frozen everywhere? Hold on. Oops. Let me check the technology. I'm being told that things are not working properly here. So, hold on. Got to get to my keyboard. Okay. Looking. Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing that everything is connected and okay. I think maybe we're having some internet issues here. I'm very sorry. You might want to refresh Twitch if you're on Twitch, and if it is jumping on you or hesitating on you. So you might want to just hit the Control R if you're on a laptop. Okay. And if you're on a tablet, just so I can get this flat. Okay. Because it's because every time you hit it with a mallet or a hammer, it just gets that much harder. Okay. And springy. Okay. Okay, so apparently Andy has lost Twitch, but it seems like uh, everyone else is seemingly okay out there. So I'm just going to keep moving. Um, if you are losing connection, there is the recording of this will be posted on Facebook and Twitch. On Twitch, it only lasts for 2 weeks, whereas Facebook, it'll go on indefinitely until Facebook goes out of business. Is that ever going to happen? Anyway, okay, so here we are. I have annealed, and I'm going to try this again. Because again, notice it's really, you can see that it's wonky, right? And I just want to flatten it. There we go. Much better. Much better, okay? And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to straighten that out. See? Okay, so we're nice and flat. My connection is still good here, which is good. Close to being nice and flat. Just want it to be a little bit better. Okay. All right. So now you have this the little 1/2 inch curve for your stylus. All right, so you can put that right here if you like, or you can put it right here and make a Q, whichever works for you. If you're doing it on the top one, just remember it has to, if you're doing it straight like the original, it has to be about 3/4 inches from that curve, or else it's going to be sort of hard if you want to use it on a touchpad. Okay, if you're doing it here and you're curving it out, sort of doesn't matter. So I'm going to put mine down here. All right. And so the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that that cut is matches the your curve here, or whatever it is that you're, whichever place that you are soldering it to. So I'm going to file that just a little bit more, and because this piece is so small, I'm using my nylon nose pliers, and I'm going to hold it because it's so small, and pull out my file and file that just a little bit more. Yes, I'm a double filer. I know some people are very offended by this. Don't judge me, but it works really well because we're not filing steel. This should not be a problem. Okay, I have some burrs, so I'm just going to take that out by doing so. Typically, I'd be working on the end of my bench and have my hands braced, but this whole camera stuff makes everything so challenging. Okay. And I'm going to end up cutting this down anyway. I do want a little bit more of a curve on here, so I'm going to anneal this piece. I'm going to anneal that piece, and sorry, I lost Andy here. So I'm going to anneal this piece and curve it some more. I don't know. It's Wednesday. It's not Monday. Why are we suffering with technology today? I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to anneal this curve a little bit because I want it to have a little bit more of a curve than what I got. Okay. And I'm going to take out actually 2 pairs of nylon nose pliers to bend this because I know that my hands aren't strong enough to do that. Okay, so there's another pair, and I'm going to bend it. Oh, there we go. Bend for me. Too much give on that. Try another pair of pliers. Oh. See, it gets much more rigid when you're working with such a small piece. This is why we try to make the curve beforehand. There we are. Can you see that? Okay. And I will trim this down a little bit more. There we are. I want this to be a really, really, really tight connection. So I'm going to file this just a bit more to make sure that it is perfect. Because there is a little bit of a gap there that I'm not digging. So let's make sure you go in and file that to what you need it to be. You do need to start eyeing this stuff so that you understand where it's all going. Okay. So I'm also looking at the surface of my wire to see where I have filed. You can tell if you just look at it. You know, we're not going to willy-nilly this. The other thing too that people make a mistake of, you see I'm filing here, I can see my wire, I can see my file, right? This is important. If you were to file like this, how do you know what you're doing? is completely blind, right? So you want to make sure that whatever you're filing, you can see what is going on. I mean, I don't know about you, but my superhero eyes don't work anymore. We turned 50. Can't see past steel. Okay, so very nice. Okay, that's going to be my stylus hook, and I'm happy there. We will put some solder here and here and solder it. But I filed here, which means it's nice and clean. This is not clean because we've been annealing, so I'm going to stick it into the pickle and let that pickle for a minute. Okay, so we're pickling brass, which means when you pull it out, it's going to look like copper. Why? It's not that it's been electroplated. Trust me on this one. This is just it's almost like depletion because remember, brass is copper plus zinc. And what's happening is the copper is coming up to the surface. So this will happen, okay? We'll clean it up with the sandpaper and that will remove all of the copper oxide, okay? But if you like it, you can just leave it. I mean, it's a thing. It's up to you. Okay. So while this is pickling, Andy wants to let everyone know that your kits have all been shipped out, if you except for China Paint. China Paint, we're still waiting to come in from Germany. We're hoping that it arrives tomorrow or Friday. It is in the country, officially in New York. So, hey, yeah, Joanne in New York, go get it for us. Anyway, so it has officially crossed customs, and it's funny how we track these things anymore, but it did cross customs, and it is in the U.S. Post Office hands. I know, scary thought, but it is what it is. So you want to go ahead and put if you have two pickle pots, put it in the silver. I mean, sorry, put it in the copper pickle pot. Okay. Okay, almost there. Yep. Let's pull it out. Make sure that you rinse it. Here we are. Pretty clean, clean enough for soldering, and we'll pickle it again after. Okay. I want to make sure that joint's nice and dry. We're going to pull out our, oops, we are going to pull out our solder board. Actually, I'm not going to do it on the tripod. I'm going to do it here. I want a nice flat surface to work on. And let's pull out some copper solder. Okay. All right, so I have some copper solder paste. You can use wire if you want to, no big deal. Make sure that you flux it. And I'm actually going to put it on the bottom, a pretty healthy amount. So you can see, I'm putting the solder on the bottom because I want to draw up through the piece. And where's my hooky? Okay. And then we're just going to put some right on here. No need to use an applicator. Just put directly on, like so. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so this is a really, really heavy piece of metal. Let me say that again. It's a really heavy piece of metal. So when you heat this, okay, what's going to happen is if you get this little piece hot first, all the solder is going to run there. So you better make sure you get this over here really nice and hot before you even attempt that. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to point the solder from this side, right? I should move it here. I'm going to solder from this side to ask for it to make the connection. Okay? So this is brass, so you don't need to go heating everything like so, because there should not be any, the heat should not be running, okay? It should just stay in one place because it's copper. And I'm going to solder this one first, and I'm just going to put it right there until the solder flows. It's going to take a minute. And I'm going to turn this up all the way. Come on, baby. Okay, and then I'm going to hit this. There that one goes. Oh, there it is. Came back and I see it coming up right through the joint. Give it a moment to think about it. This is like burning red hot. You can see that even on camera. Not going to touch it because it needs a moment to set. Copper solder is soft, and so there's a lot of heat still sitting here, and if you touch it now, it'll fall apart. Okay, so take a deep breath, let it come down. Notice it's not red anymore. Let my solder float. You can see that. Okay, quench it. I'm gonna leave it in the water there for a second because again, it's so hot. Yep. So here I'm pulling it out and it's still a little bit warm, so that tells you something. Okay, so this, yeah, that is on there tight. That is on there pretty darn tight. I'll pickle it again. And so what you're going to have to do now, we've been annealing, you need to make sure that you work hard in it, okay? Putting it in the tumbler is not enough. It's not going to do it for this. So you're going to have to do it with a mallet or with a chasing hammer on a bench pin to make sure that you harden it. Or else when you go to use this hook, if you have a particularly heavy door, it's going to bend, okay? So every so often we bump into those heavy doors. I'll be honest, I did try it. We have really heavy glass sliding doors here, and I've been trying it on the glass doors, and it's worked just fine. So while this is pickling, another thing I want to bring up too here is that you know what, I'm gonna have full disclosure. I'm gonna be totally transparent about this. Okay, so I made this piece and I tested it on the touch screen of my laptop and on the touch screen of my phone, and it works just fine. Okay, so I have a stylus here too. I have not had the opportunity to try this on a touch screen of a credit card machine, but I keep one of these in my purse, right? I have been keeping one of these in my purses. So or I say I have. The last couple weeks, I've had one of these in my purse, and I tried it on a credit card machine, and it doesn't work. But it works on my phone and it works on my um, laptop. So I'm wondering if the credit card machine is slightly different. So just don't get too frustrated, but it seems like these different devices require different things. I'm hoping that this still works just as fine, better than what I have here. So it is a little bit more firm. Okay, so hopefully that will do the trick. Let's check our pickle, see how our piece is doing here. Almost there. It needs another minute. Very close. Okay, so you'll need to get some E6000 or some super glue to glue the stylus end on. And when you go to glue it on, do not push it all the way down because you need a little tiny bit of give on the end. Okay, so just a little cushiony bit on the end there. All right, let's check this here. So Virtually Overcrafting is a week away. We're pretty excited. If you have not Zoomed before and you are registered, we do have a training session tomorrow for anybody who wants to screw around with Zoom. But hey, you can also join us for Wine on Wednesday tonight at 4:30 Eastern Time to wine with us, but you can also test your Zoom out at the same time. Okay, so here we are. Okay. Andy wanted me to remind everybody, and I was planning on doing this next week, but Virtually Overcrafting classes are Central Time and not Eastern Time Zone. Why? Because we have instructors overseas and we have instructors on the West Coast. It's not just about me. So here I'm taking out my sandpaper and I'm just going to sand the whole entire piece to remove any of the copper oxide. So you're just going to sand this until you are happy. And if you have made any dings or mars, and I'm checking all the little fine points for any sharpness. If you want to clean up your solder a little bit, you can clean up your solder there and just clean the entire piece. And notice how it is coming back up to the brass, because you can see it's copper here, but it's brass up here. So you can just clean that up. So it seems like there's a suggestion here that you can just take the stylus off and use it um, right on the metal. I don't know how I feel about using the metal on my phone though. I don't want to go scratching anything, nor do I want to ruin somebody else's uh, machine, but be careful if you do decide to go down that road. It's something. Give it a try. Okay, so this here, I'll saw that off just a little bit, just to trim that down. Okay, it's a little bit long for me, so we'll trim that down. That should still be, see, where are we? Yep, that should still be about a ½ inch, you know, of a piece, because it's just too long. And then you'll file that. Okay, so then to harden this, so we'll just clean that with the sandpaper until you're happy. Everything has nice smooth edges, and then we're going to harden this because it's still, oh, actually it's already pretty hard because of all the flattening that I did. But I would feel a heck of a lot better if I came back in here and took the time out to just hit everything. And you know, if you want to have a little extra insurance on this, you could also take out your chasing hammer and chase it a little bit, just like so. It also gives it some texture, or you can also do it very evenly to create a nice even surface, and it gives it a little bit of a flat surface. Just like so, right down the middle, like that. And I'm working all the way around, and I'm hitting all the surfaces, and I can totally see where I've been. If you're paying attention, you'll see what all you have hit and what you have not hit. But this is getting harder and harder. So I'm playing with it just to see. Yeah, it's pretty hard. Actually, go back to this. So it's a fairly easy, straightforward project, and it gets us there. Oh, aha. See, bad soldering. My piece fell off. Okay, yep, not a great connection. Do that again. But I'll go ahead and harden it. You will have to harden it again if you do reheat this. So we'll do that one more time. Right here. I'm just going to go ahead and put some more solder on there. So it sounds like Andy is suffering with the twitch. Hopefully not everybody is suffering like he is, but he says that it is very irregular today. Okay, so yep, what happened was I hit that a little bit too hard. So I'm just going to put my heat right there. Okay. Again, it's going to take a minute to solder because it is so heavy. Make sure that the solder runs all the way through, just like that. I can, it's so hot, I can actually see the solder still bubbling even though the heat's off. It took a second before it stopped bubbling. So it tells you how brass slash copper holds on to the heat and how long it holds on to. So taking a deep breath, let it go. So what's going to happen here? I'll quench it, I'll pickle it, and then I will harden it again, work harden it again. So that should be good. Okay, any questions out there? Anybody? Okay. So the suggestion here is you would have a better connection if you had done it on the flat edge. Yes, that's true. It would be the easier connection. But supposedly I did that right. Notice how I said that. Okay. That 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 was the same curve that I had there. So if you are struggling with making that curve, absolutely you can put it on the flat end. Okay, you know what? I just discovered. I just soldered that on upside down. I totally did that upside down. Oh my gosh. Okay. It should go the other way. Yeah, it should go the other way. Oh my gosh. I'm an idiot. Look at that. So we're just going to take that apart really quick and flip it the other way. Yipes! Okay, so you get to see how you take something apart. So what happened a few weeks ago? I couldn't get it to come together. I got it to come together. I broke it. Now I'm going to show you how to take it apart. Okay, so lots of heat until it loosens up. There we are. And while it's still hot, I'm going to flip it around and see if I can make that connection right now. And look at that. Okay, it was so hot that it went ahead and made the connection right away. Uh-huh. It flowed again. So, again, give it a minute to think about it and settle in. And let's quench that. Okay. See, nice connection. Still a little warm. You might have even seen the steam coming off of that, but this is how hot this is. So there, it needs to go out so that you can use it like that. I'll trim that, and yeah, and then we're going to harden this again with the leather mallet on the bench block just to make sure it's hot. So remember, if you're reheating this because you screwed up like I did, then you want to make sure that you do reharden it. Okay, so hopefully there's no other questions out there. And anyway, there it is. That's our project for today. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you learned a little something. Have any questions, you can reach out if I didn't answer your questions here. Aside from that, that's it for me today. Woohoo! You learned how to solder brass, you learned how to unsolder brass, and you learned how to resolder brass. But it is pretty straightforward and it is the same as what we've been doing all along anyway. Next week we have the Lily on Monday. We have the Lily of the Valley um, necklace. So this is a necklace. You have a chain coming through. You see that? So it comes back around like so. Okay. And then on Friday, for those of you who are joining me for the Majestic pendant, we'll see you on Friday. And next week is also on Wednesday. We're doing the flex shaft thing. We'll talk about flex shafts. So other than that, I'll see you this evening if you're joining me for cocktails. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see ya. Okay.